What if I told you that there was a killer so brazen that he not only evaded every capture, but also always taunted the police with cryptic letters and even mocked their every attempt to bring him to justice? He also believed that his victims would become his slaves in the afterlife. This isn't just another cold case, but a chilling story of the Zodiac Killer, a man who saw himself as a deity and his victims as his eternal servants. Buckle up as we uncover the dark and disturbing truths behind one of history's most notorious and mysterious killers.
December 20th, 1968.
On this day, right before Christmas, Zodiac's first confirmed murder took place as 17-year-old David Faraday and 16-year-old Betty Lou Jensen went on their very first date. The pair parked in a well-known lover's lane on Lake Herman Road, just when few minutes later a man parked beside the couple's cars and ordered them to exit their vehicle at gunpoint. He then opened fire, shooting David point blank in the skull and Betty 5 times in the back, killing them both. Police had no leads on this case until half a year later.
July 4th, 1969.
On this night, 18-year-old Darlene Farron and 16-year-old Michael Mageau were sitting in their parked car at Blue Rock Springs Park just when a car pulled up just beside them and then immediately left the parking lot. But just after 5 minutes, the same car returned and this time parked directly behind the couple's car. A man exited the vehicle with a flashlight and armed with a 9mm pistol. He shot the couples as they sat in the car. Farron died, but Mageau was badly wounded, although he managed to survive. The strangest part is that after the murder at 12:40 a.m., Vallejo police received a call from an anonymous man saying,
Vallejo Police Department.
I want to report a double murder.
May I have your
If you
name
go 1
and where
mile
you're calling?
east on Columbus Parkway, the public park, you'll find kids in a brown car. They were shot with a 9mm Luger. I also killed those kids last year. Goodbye.
He then abruptly hung up, making this the first time the Zodiac contacted the police.
August 1st, 1969.
On this day, Zodiac wrote his first 3 famous letters to 3 newspapers. In these letters, he boasted of his crimes and warned that he would strike again if the letters were not published on the front page. The letters also came with ciphers, about which Zodiac said whoever cracked them would learn his true identity. The cipher was quickly passed on to naval intelligence for deciphering, and NSA and CIA also joined the effort, but the 408 symbol long cipher was broken by an unlikely pair, Donald Hardin, a teacher, and his wife, Betty. In the cipher, the Zodiac didn't give his real name, but the creepy note read, "I like killing people because it is so much fun. It is more fun than killing wild game in the forest because man is the most dangerous animal of all to kill." The letter then goes on to describe the thrill of the murder, and also later says that when he dies, the people who he killed will become his slaves in paradise. He says he won't release his identity because the police will stop his collection of slaves.
September 27th, 1969.
On this day, college student Cecilia Shepard and her friend Brian Hartnell were enjoying a picnic at Lake Berryessa when Cecilia noticed a strange man watching them from the trees. As the man approached them, they were shocked to see that he was wearing a black executioner-style hood with a Zodiac symbol on his chest. He then got Cecilia to tie Brian's hands using a 3-foot clothesline, and then himself proceeded to tie Cecilia's hands. He then proceeded to stab Cecilia 10 times and Brian 6 times. He then left the scene thinking he had killed them both and returned to the parking lot, where he drew his signature cross circle on Brian's car door and with a black pen wrote Vallejo 12/20/68, September 27 to 69, 6:30 by knife. Cecilia later died from wounds, but Brian survived. Just like the last murder at 7:40 p.m., the Zodiac called the Napa County Sheriff's Office to report his crime.
Napa Police Department. I want to report a murder. No. A double murder. They are 2 miles north of parking headquarters. They were in a white Volkswagen Carbon Gia. I'm the one that did it.
October 11th, 1969.
Only 2 weeks after his previous murder, Zodiac killed his final confirmed victim, a cab driver named Paul Stein. Zodiac hailed the cab at around 9:30 p.m., and after reaching the destination, Zodiac waited for the car to come to a full stop on the side of the road before grabbing Paul Stine's collar and shooting him point blank in the right side of his skull. While all this was happening, 3 teens in a house across the street called the police thinking they were watching a robbery. But while the kids were giving the police a description of the man they saw, the Zodiac was mistakenly described as a black male. And this one mistake proved to be massively fatal, as it allowed the Zodiac to evade capture once again. Later, the kids who had seen the Zodiac quickly collaborated with a police sketch artist to try and come up with a preliminary sketch of the Zodiac. By then, the kids' mistake had already been corrected, and so the first sketch of the Zodiac was drawn and circulated everywhere in the area.
October 14th, 1969.
After another failed attempt at catching him at the cab driver's murder, the Zodiac saw this as a perfect opportunity to taunt the police department once more. Only 3 days after the murder, the Chronicle newspaper received another letter from the Zodiac, in which he sent a scrap of Paul Stine's blood-soaked shirt to prove he was the killer. The letter read, "This is the Zodiac speaking. I am the murderer of the taxi driver over by Washington Street and Maple Street last night. To prove this, here is a blood-stained piece of his shirt. I am the same man who did in the people in the North Bay area. The SF police could have caught me last night if they had searched the park properly, instead of holding road races with their motorcycles seeing who can make the most noise."
November 18th, 1969.
In the following weeks, the Zodiac sent 2 letters boasting about 2 more murders. In the first letter, there's a card that reads, "Sorry I haven't written, but I just washed my pen." On the inside it reads, "This is the Zodiac speaking. I thought you would need a good laugh before you hear the bad news. You won't get the news for a while yet. Please see. Could you print this new cipher on your front page? I get awfully lonely when I'm ignored. So lonely I could do my thing." The letter also contained another cipher, which is now known as the Z340 cipher. This cipher remained unsolved for over 50 years until December 2020, when an international group of 3 amateur codebreakers used computer software to finally crack it. Once it was decoded, it reads, "I hope you were having lots of fun in trying to catch me." That wasn't me on the TV show, which brings up a good point about me. I am not afraid of the gas chamber. The letter continues and says that he will have his slaves work for him in the afterlife. The second letter the Zodiac sent read, "This is the Zodiac speaking. Up until the end of October, I have killed 7 people. I have grown rather angry with the police for their telling lies about me, so I shall change the way of collecting my slaves. I shall no longer announce to anyone when I commit my murders. They shall look like routine robberies, killings of anger, a few fake accidents, etc. The police shall never catch me because I have been too clever for them." The letter goes on to list some facts that the police departments got right and wrong. The Zodiac also states that the police sketch that was circulated is correct, but, quote, "the rest of the time I look entirely different." He also states that he'd been leaving fake clues at his murders to keep the cops happy. He then goes on to describe the moment where he got stopped by police after the cab murder. After he recapped his encounter with the police, the Zodiac in his letter wrote step-by-step instructions on how to create a bomb with household items.
March 22nd, 1970.
On this day, Kathleen Johns, who was on her way to visit her sick mother late at night, noticed a car following her on a deserted highway. The car driver soon began honking and flashing lights, and eventually pulling alongside to warn her that her rear tire was wobbling. Although cautious, but Kathleen pulled over and the man offered to fix the tire. After he fixed it, and she resumed driving only for the tire to completely fall off moments later, the same man again returned and offered her a ride to a gas station, which she reluctantly accepted. But instead of stopping, he drove past several exits, taking her down to remote roads, and he then chillingly said, "I'm going to throw your baby out the window." Terrified, Kathleen jumped from the moving car with her baby at the next stop and rolled into a ditch. After escaping, a passing woman took her to the police station where she identified the man as the Zodiac Killer. When police later searched for her car, they found it burned, likely by the Zodiac.
April 19, 1970.
On this day, the Zodiac sent another letter and cipher, which read, "This is the Zodiac speaking. By the way, have you cracked the last cipher I sent you? My name is," which was followed by a 13-character cipher, which when decoded is supposed to contain the Zodiac's name. But it was nearly unsolvable. Over the years, there have been thousands of possible solutions to the cipher, but no way of knowing whether any of them are correct. The letter then continues with the Zodiac claiming he's killed 10 people to date, and that he would have killed more, but the bomb he was going to use was defective. And on second page of the letter was a diagram of his new and improved bomb and how it would work. In the next 4 years, around 8 Zodiac letters were sent to the Chronicle newspaper, and one more cipher was sent, which when deciphered, it contained the location of a bomb that would go off in the fall of 1970, but no bomb was ever found or detonated. In one of the letters, the Zodiac also claimed responsibility for Kathleen John's abduction and confessed that he lit Kathleen's car on fire after failing to kill her.
January 30th, 1974.
His final letter was sent on this day and seemed to review the movie The Exorcist before once again demanding the attention and publicity. At the end of the letter, the Zodiac wrote a final score as Me37 SFPD 0. While the police had only confirmed 5 murders and 2 attempted murders from the Zodiac, so his claim of 37 murders might just be an exaggeration. Although the Zodiac did previously say that he would not continue announcing his murders and would make them look like accidents, meaning the final murder count could technically range anywhere from 5 to 37. Due to the widespread attention this case has received, numerous individuals have falsely claimed to be the Zodiac Killer or provided misleading tips to the police, making it even more difficult to solve. Even decades after the last letter from the Zodiac, many aspects of the case still remain unsolved. The Zodiac Killer's identity is still a mystery, and the actual number of victims could be ranging from 5 to as many as 50. His cryptic ciphers sent to newspapers continue to challenge the code breakers even over 50 years later. Despite all the publicity, the Zodiac Killer's identity remains one of the most exciting and popular unsolved mysteries in the history of crime.